Welcome to this roundup. The rise of artificial intelligence is fundamentally transforming the very meaning of an enterprise. So, as we evaluate, the enterprises across industries and nations undergo a profound and lasting shift in the relative balance of AI adoption. Its application will offer each enterprise as many opportunities as it does challenges. The artificial intelligence capability is on its way to revolutionizing every aspect of an enterprise. It has leveled the playing field and brought every enterprise a unique possibility of progress. Now, what needs to be seen is whether, in the level playing field, which enterprises will be able to compete and lay a new foundation for fundamental transformation, and which ones will decline. To discuss the future of enterprise artificial intelligence further, I'm delighted to welcome Ankur Dinesh Garg to this roundup. Ankur is the Chief of Artificial Intelligence at Hotify Inc. He is the board member and chief of artificial intelligence at Sonasoft, board member at Iamwire, advisor to many companies, and member at Forbes Technology Council. He is currently building a next generation general narrow intelligence for solving AI adoption problems of enterprises. He is based in the United States. Welcome, Ankur. We are so very honored to have you on Risk Roundup.
Thank you, Jayashree. I am also very excited to be here. Appreciate it. I am Ankur Dinesh Garg, Chief of AI Sonasoft.
Wonderful, Ankur. So today, what is common to all enterprises is access to technology, access to data and information. But what is not common is how each individual enterprise uses that information for what purpose and goals. While artificial intelligence has given enterprises across industries, across nations, the same starting point in their ability to access the technology and tools, what are the parameters that you see are defining the individual success of enterprises?
So, very good question, Jayashree, right? In fact, all the enterprises are running the race of AI, and who's going to win largely depend on some very crucial elements. First is how accurately enterprise leaders are able to articulate the problem that they are facing and the business impact or value associated with that problem. So, as per Gartner, recently they realized that biggest failures in AI projects or AI solutions happen where enterprise fails to articulate a business value from a use case. So enterprises who are running blind in towards AI, doing AI because they have to do AI and have no direction, are designed to lose. An enterprise who are taking it more from a business point of view, they understand what their business priorities are, and they are trying to map between how they can leverage AI on a conceptual level to their solving the business problem, which has significant monetary impact to the enterprise, are the enterprise that are going to win. That's the first very important thing. Second, I also think that a lot of enterprises are shying away from dabbling into AI right now. Probably they think that they are not ready, their data is not ready, they want to do RPA first, or they want to do digitization, data warehouse, data lake first. So they're trying to delay or defer their decision of playing with this technology. I think that delay is going to cost them quite a lot, and they have to engage in an AI conversation. It's not about spending a lot of dollars. It's about trying to understand how AI fits into their larger scheme of things, and also try to see whether the challenges that they think they will have in AI adoption are they real challenge or not. Sometimes they will realize that they are actually falsely anticipating these challenges, and AI can be adopted in various areas without having to be ready with all these issues that they think they have right now. Like, for example, a lot of enterprise turn back because they say we have too less data. AI can work on less data. They sometimes think that we need to bring all the data together in a data warehouse before I do AI. That's not a condition that is required by AI itself. Some of the enterprise says we want to do RPA first. We think that RPA is nothing without AI. So it has to be an IPA, intelligent process automation, not just RPA. So a lot of these perceived roadblocks that enterprise is creating for themselves, I think that's the second thing which will create a difference in their winnability over a long term. Third is a lot of enterprise thinks that they want to get into development of AI, which is a challenge because AI is requires a tremendous amount of R&D, and it is a lot of AI components are mathematical. It requires research, it requires constant iteration, etc. So I recommend that enterprises need to focus on their core and start leveraging the existing democratized platforms like the one we have to start getting onto AI bots or AI use cases very fast. They don't need to really become a Google or a Facebook and become a researcher on AI. They need to actually apply AI more than develop AI. So that's another issue I think where enterprises are going to lose a lot of money and time by getting into I want to do it myself mode. And it would have been true with website developments or application developments, etc., because those were mostly it's about effort of doing it more than the technology itself, right? But AI is different. AI requires tremendous amount of research. It is very fast changing. Today it's something else, and tomorrow, next quarter, some more new features, new algorithms will just pop in. So if they're investing their dollars in chasing the AI solutions on their own, it's a chase which will not end so easily, and they'll keep burning their money and they'll keep investing in R&D forever, right? So they need to start adopting these democratized platforms. So that's a third very crucial factor for success of enterprises. Fourth, it is very crucial for enterprises to understand that they need to have a workforce who are not AI expert, but who understand AI from an application point of view. In fact, globally, there is a big scarcity of people who can apply AI without getting into know what AI is. So they don't need to care what algorithms are or what the whole pipelines or what the whole technology construct behind the AI scene is there. They should be able to apply concepts of AI into real solving problems. And those people are not available. And enterprise leaders should definitely engage in understanding AI concepts and trying to see how they can match those concepts to their problems. So it is very important for enterprise to give exposure of AI elements, not the technicalities, but the conceptual level AI elements to their managers and equip them with this tool which they can start putting as part of their strategy and tactical plans. So I think these are the key differentiators which will emerge for enterprises trying to get into AI.
No, those are very excellent, observation points that you made, because all these different variables that you mentioned are, what I also see in the industry. I mean, the first one that you talked about, that the leaders, they cannot visualize where to use it, how to use the AI. I mean, yes, the technology tools are available, but how that can benefit their enterprises, that understanding is not there, because it requires a lot of imagination and creativity, which, we don't see much in the current, leadership in all, across all enterprises. Second point that you made about the data, how now again, that is a big, barrier, because which data you use, data is available in many different formats and many different sources. So is it going to be internal data or external data? What data to use? And we don't see industry consolidation of data. That is also another barrier, because if you have a consolidation of data that as an industry it's available, then all the enterprises can easily access that and, make something, meaning out of that, or where to use it, how to use it. And the third point that you made about how to the use of the democratization platforms, the development platforms, that is an excellent idea, because not the resources are limited. The how many people can actually develop AI and build on it. That level of resources are not available, that every enterprise can hire the best AI developers. So yes, it would be great to develop that partnerships, to develop those platforms where a single platform within an industry can be used by many different enterprises. So it would be good to have industry specific AI development platforms that would help the development of AI tools much quicker for the enterprises. So all the points that you made are excellent. So going back on the understanding of the data, what is your observation? What kind of data the enterprises are currently targeting for the growth of the AI applications? And is it internal data or external data? And for each of these enterprise, what does the AI driven growth mean for whoever is currently trying to do the transformation based on the data driven growth?
Sure. So there are two questions. I'll answer them one by one. So data, right? So it's very interesting. I'll just take a small example and explain you how does this fit into our current paradigm, right? So when machines were born and they started producing first instance of what we refer to as data, the one of the challenge which came in front of humankind is how do you understand this data that machines are throwing? And because machines always work in a serial order, they were throwing data on a serial order. They were just processing one event, throwing the data, processing another event, throwing the data. And as they went on solving the problem, they kept throwing out these data. Let's call them logs. And the machine starts throwing what we refer to as logs. And then different variety of this data started to generate from the world, right? And which was practically not possible for humans to understand in the format machine was able to understand it. So we created our own mechanism of what we refer to as structured data and started understanding them, right? So first we started structuring them in file systems, then we started structuring them in RDBMS and databases. And when over time this data size grew significantly large, the variety of variables grew significantly large, we realized that these structures are not complete, or we cannot just be confine the data in the structures. So emerged what we refer to as NoSQL, which is unstructured databases. And this was very, very great because suddenly now you are moving out of what we created for ourselves, right? The cage we created for ourselves. However, when the data started to grow even more, and an enterprise realized that now they need to take it from unstructured and feed it to machines, and now they are trying to structure it back again so that they can feed it to machines. The problem is machines are the best to understand the data generated by the machines. So we strongly recommend enterprise to not have any prejudice on how the data goes in the machine. Just throw everything else. Just throw it as raw as possible and whatever you have, and then get started. Once you get started, you will know whether you have everything or something, or you need more. And that's where the data scientists will come into picture. So you start doing your AI experiments with whatever you have and get started, and then know whether what you have is sufficient to meet your objective or not. And then if it is not sufficient, data scientists will come into picture and say, and try to establish logics on human understanding and see what data may be missing. And the first thing that you step on is external data. So for example, you're trying to do forecasting of electricity load in a state, and you started to do forecasting based on your historical patterns, seasonality, etc. Suddenly you realize that weather is very crucial, macroeconomic indicators are very crucial, or even the fact that how many solar cars or electric cars or solar panels were fitted in the state are very important to decide what the load is going to be. So you start gathering this external data to make your models or AI delivery more and more accurate and more comprehensive. But you start with whatever you have, and that's a crucial thing. Also, the way AI evolved, it first started with statistical machine learning, and even before that, statistics itself, right? So, and in the problem with statistical systems was that it assumed the data to be in a particular form or data to comply with certain assumptions. And that was the key reason why enterprise thought they need to pre-process the data, they need to clean it, they need to make it ready for machine learning to start using it. But that is not the case with neural networks. And deep neural networks do not have any bias towards what data they're handling. You just throw everything in neural networks, they'll make the sense out of it. So the world is changing and moving away from statistics to deep learning to more advanced algorithms, which are not dependent on data quality or the size of the data or volume of the data or variety of the data, etc. So enterprises need to really break out of these myths. And the only way to do that is take your data, whatever you have, and start running an AI experiment. and that will tell you whether you need more data and what kind of data do you require further. So I hope you understand that,
No,
Jashi, right?
I hear you on that. I totally understand. Now, the point that you made about the algorithms, they won't need to, we won't need to worry about whether, the quality of the data or, what kind of data is available. But if you don't have the parameter of the quality of data or the integrity of data, then all the intelligence that will be gathered or the information that will come out of it, models that you build up based on those different sets of data, wouldn't that be flawed? I mean, I see the trend that now we are slowly moving away from training data to untrained data, so it will automatically, all the bias and all those challenges that we used to see, they will slowly move away because we are not feeding any information to the algorithms that you need to, or we are not tagging it. Humans are not involved in all those processes. But if we are not focused on the quality of data or the integrity of data, then the information, the intelligence that we are able to gather out of that, or the models that we are building, won't they be flawed?
They will not be flawed, right? So machine neural networks are capable of addressing the quality issues, right? We understand that uh, on a larger roadmap, right? Let's say we talk about 10 million transactions or a billion transactions or 1 million transactions, right? So on a larger data set, the percentage of data being flawed is going to be significantly lesser than the percentage of data which is naturally right, and that's what neural networks will capture, and they will have a system which is not flawed. So it's, if you think that data has quality issues, supply more data, but you don't need to really pre-process it and wait for AI to happen after that, right? So neural networks are far capable of handling the quality issues, and they are capable of handling these biases on their own, and so that's why you can just feed into whatever data you have. Of course, neural network can only give you an answer by the limited knowledge it has, right? So if you give less knowledge, they will have less certainty of the answer. They will still have the answer, but less certainty. If you give a one perspective and not share another perspective, the neural network will also give you the perspective that you have shared. So it's not about really pre-processing the data. It's mostly about increasing the data size, increasing more variables, more number of instances. It's more about that. It's not about processing it, right? So the enterprise are wasting their time in fabricating the data for the machines. Instead, they should spend time and money and effort in finding out what new variables can they add, and how much historical data can they add, how fast can they start adding this data, etc. So they need to focus on adding more and more data, not really pre-process it or not check for the quality. That is of no worries. That neural networks will handle on their own.
So where do the enterprises get the data currently? Do they have their own data platforms or data sets, or do they use industry data sets?
Oh, it's everywhere, right? So everything in an enterprise, every digital thing in an enterprise generates data, right? Your attendance device, which is responsible for tracking attendance, your cameras, your logs, your systems, your ERP data is everywhere in enterprise, and this data has impressions of human behavior, employee sentiment, people sentiment, market sentiment, everything. So there's a lot of data happening in the enterprise. For example, if enterprise wants to say how well they're going to do in next 2 quarters, they cannot ignore the sentiment of their employees in that picture, which comes from their HR systems, right? Which comes from their employee engagement, etc. So they need to just have no prejudice and try to bring their entire data into the machine, number one. Number two, data is also available externally. So there is news, there is market, there is macroeconomic, there is weather, there is temperature, there is traffic APIs from Google, there is places API from Google, there is social media, everywhere. There are tons of data sources available publicly. Enterprise, and there are systems which are already aggregating this information. So enterprise don't need to do an effort of aggregating it. They just need to have a right partner which is able to bring all this data into a single marketplace and give it back to the enterprise, right? So it's all available. I think it's mostly about recognizing that you need to bring in all this information together and give it to the machine. It's available inside the organization and outside the organization.
Yes, so that understanding needs to be there. What data sets or what different variables to use that will be useful for the machine, to learn, further. That
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 is the job of data scientists or data experts in new age, right? So far, data scientists were very focused on cracking the iterative mathematics behind AI machine learning. But now with this democratized platform, it is able to free up a lot of their time into doing generic stuff so that they can focus on more specific domain expertise stuff. And the first thing that they should do is find out what data is important, where is it sitting, how to bring it in the system, and how to understand the value of that information, right? So that's really the crucial aspect that data scientists and data engineers should focus on right now.
Yes, absolutely. I hear you on that. Now, this is not exactly the question that I'm trying to ask now, is not exactly about enterprise, but it still falls into the category of the data integrity. And that is what, I'm really concerned about, the nature of the data sets available or used for gathering the intelligence. Now, if you look at, all across nations based on each of the social media, a lot of social media, the data that is generated by social media is also used by enterprises. Now, on the social media, you see a lot of this, fake news and, deep fake videos, deep fake audios. That is, emerging, very rapidly. It's coming our way. Now, we don't, there is no way for us to know right now what we are watching, what we are, reading, what we are hearing, whether there is those are genuine, news or real news, or whether they are, deep fake news. So if there is no way to know the integrity of the news that is available today, or integrity of the videos that we see or the audios that we see. So if the, algorithms, are there any is there any development? From my understanding, I haven't seen any, but is there any development to develop algorithms that just crawls on the web, and searches and looks at each and every news piece that is out there and is somehow able to tell us whether that is a credible news or whether it's not a credible news? Do you think there is something like that is necessary, and if somebody is working on that?
Yes, so a very, very, very good question, Jashri, right? So with technology comes the problems of technology, and bigger the technology, bigger the problems, right? Unfortunately, there is no way that we can curtail the dark side of AI, which we are all facing, which is fakes and deep fakes, right? And that's become a reality. The good part is, again, I'll go back to the laws of large numbers, right? The good part is the whole world has probably more amount of people who think positive towards the humankind than negative, and that's a really good part, and they are very skilled. So while today you can say that there's a war going on between the fakes and the counter action around it, eventually the counteraction will win. And there's an active work going on across the globe to fight out these nuances of technology as they happen. In fact, companies that are investing in research which is leading to these issues are also investing in research to counter these issues, right? It is the same thing as when antiviruses were developed, viruses started to pop up a lot. So companies that are investing in developing antiviruses were also focusing on how can they counter the new viruses that are coming up or new malwares that are coming up actively, right? So as the technology evolves, the issues will pop up. Today, there are tools to identify deep fakes. There are tools to identify the information that is misleading. Unfortunately, those tools are not accessible or available to end users, or they are not applied as a filter to the end users, right? So, of course, the company, so for example, Facebook is working hard to make sure that news that they carry, they analyze it through a fake filter. So, all the social media platforms are doing their part in fighting the fakes inside their platform. But you may have things you reaching out to you through WhatsApp, through other messages or emails, and that those are the areas which are still unfiltered. You may get some things which are unfiltered, and the everybody's trying hard to filter it out. but still it's not widely available to end users right now. So there is a risk today, but I'm sure the world is fighting very fast to mitigate that risk.
Sure, I hear you on that. And I mean, like you said, there are a lot of good people who are trying to right these wrong and, make some difference there. But I think eventually we will need, algorithm that just, or machine learning, model that will just crawl on the web and, is able to give us the valuable insight into whether the news that we are reading is, genuine news or it's a fake news.
Yeah.
Eventually we are going to need that. And also the other point, that I would like to make is, if you see currently, I mean, Russia, China, and many other nations, they are trying to, cut off from the global internet. So if you see China, they have already developed tools and models and everything that is necessary, software, hardware that is necessary to cut off from the global internet. And they are filtering out all the information, and they are trying to convey only the message that their government wants to convey to their citizens. So there is a huge filtering going on in China. And if you filtering of the genuine news, so there is no longer democratization of news there in their country. Now if you see Russia is also going the same way, and they are also trying to develop their own model so that they can cut off from the global internet. And if you see a lot of other countries that depend, I mean, communist countries, or who likes to have the authoritarian rules, they are all trying to go towards that path. Some will work with the model that China has developed, some will work with the model that Russia has developed, but there is an intense effort going on. So the filtering of the news to convey what you want to convey as a country is going on. And I'm sure pretty soon that will trickle down to enterprises as well, that enterprises would want to communicate only what they want to communicate. They will filter out, even if those data sets are available and that is neutral, non-partisan, and doesn't have any bias. At the end of the day, enterprises also are profit-centric models, and they want to take out, filter out the information or the data sets that are not going to be good for their enterprises. So that is also, a challenge that's coming our way. And we will have to figure out how to give credibility to the intelligence or models that are emerging from enterprises. So there is going to be a need for, certain tools and technology that we can rely on, we can depend on. Otherwise, every enterprise is going to go and build models that, shows their information that they want to convey to their shareholders, or to their community or users or buyers, any of the their ecosystem. They will convey what they want to convey, and we need to have a reliability of the integrity of the data sets or integrity of the information that is emerging. So how do we know that enterprises, what they are telling us is exactly what they're telling us?
You're right, right. So there is definitely a movement on making internet more exclusive for curated, and pockets of efforts are happening in that direction. I think that's a natural evolution of the internet. It's been there as a generic platform, and of course, along with the good things, we came up with a lot of bad things. It has a lot of junk. It has a lot of nuances in that. So everybody wants to now create a more exclusive internet, which is premium, more filtered. That's how the natural progression of digital things work in general, right? And I think there's going to be emergence of bodies which are which are central, which are custodian of trust. For example, today you see HTTPS, which is these are some bodies which are ensuring that the site that you're visiting is secure. These are third-party custodians. Similarly, a lot of American sites you see they have these badges from different hack-free sites, so which ensures the users that the site is up to date when it comes to hacking or security point of view, or standardization like compliances like PCI compliance, global standard like GDPR. So these standards are the ones that really give trust into the users that what they are dealing with, what they're seeing is trustworthy. And I'm pretty sure that it is a startup opportunity, or it's happening somewhere, that these information that is now reaching the user will start bearing some kind of a trust badge on it, which says, because you see this trust star on top of it, you can trust it, and it has gone through, right, the checks and balances, and that's why you're reading it, right? And that could be the start of central federations or bodies that are ensuring that they're giving a promise to the users that they can rely on the news or information that is coming through wearing their badge. And I think that's a very natural thing which will happen in, I would say, next couple of years. And it's a great startup opportunity itself, right? Where third party companies are starting to endorse the information that users see with their trust seal on top of it.
We'll have to wait and see, how it emerges or what kind of shape it takes. But yes, those kind of, third party, neutral parties, endorsements are going to be very essential. Now, if we look at how the whole internet, emerged, and all the layers that are, built, like from technology layer to information layer to all different layers. Now, IoT layers and the 5G layer and the AI layer, all those layers that has made the cyberspace, overall is getting very, very complex. I mean, we are going to see the blockchain, and we are going to see AI, and, we are going to see, many layers that will fundamentally change the nature of the cyberspace that we are witnessing. And, the intention was that we wanted the whole global community to be connected, and they can communicate with each other without the barriers of the geographical boundaries or the government interference. But now all that is changing as we see internet splitting in China and Russia, and there is a big movement going on. And I think that is a very unfortunate, because the whole purpose of having that global internet was so that we can gather a lot of intelligence from everyone communicating with each other, and all the data sets emerging. So all the big problems, complex problems facing humanity, we can solve those complex problems because we will have that information and data sets available. So this is a little bit step backwards, as we see the efforts by China and Russia and other countries to move away from that. But we will have to see how it shapes up. But as far as the enterprises go, which functional areas you see are currently benefiting from this AI transformation?
Yes, so yeah, I definitely very good question, right? And you also asked some time back about how enterprises are registering the growth using AI. I'll just combine the two questions and answer. So there are three crucial areas which enterprise wants all the time, and that's been the case ever since enterprises have existed, right? So the first is more revenue, or more customers, or more business, right? Second is more efficiency, or more productivity, or less cost. And the third is more predictability, certainty, and ability to control the situations, or more resilience. Okay. So these are three big baskets in which enterprise needs are centered, right? Within this is an AI is powering all the three baskets today. However, the easier for an enterprise to get started is something which gives them more revenue, more customers, more business. Because if you focus on efficiency versus revenue, you if you have to deliver very strict KPIs when it comes to efficiency. Enterprises are already efficient. They are good businesses, right? They're already running at 80, 90, 95, 99% efficiency. And for AI to help there, AI have to do work in very little margin and very high percentage of accuracy. On the other side, on the revenue and business, if AI can give them 1% extra, or 2% extra, or 5% extra, it's a great achievement for an enterprise. So the pressure on delivery to an AI system is lesser when it comes to revenue centric efforts as against efficiency centric efforts. Second, it is also important that what the role that the enterprises choose their journey in a way that it takes larger buy-in of the company, of the business. So any AI leader in an organization needs to have the buy-in of the management. And buy-in of the management will come when you show numbers, you show results, and you show significant impact. So that significant impact comes mostly in the revenue side. It can also be in efficiency if you're losing a lot of issues, if there are burning issues. For example, if I am losing millions of dollars in some process and AI can come and fix it and save you millions of dollars. But that's not the general case, right? You don't have a successful company is not losing millions of dollars everywhere. It is losing millions of dollars in few places, but it is always happy to get some extra $100,000 or half a million or $1 billion or $1 million, right, in the revenue side, right? So AI is currently focusing a lot on efficiency, which is one of the reason why the adoption of AI is less, because it's very easy for AI to start fitted into efficiency. There are many use cases in efficiency, but the business value creation in the efficiency side is lesser. AI is, a lot of companies are not focusing on the revenue side or ROI side, where the value or use cases are lesser, but those are way more impactful use cases. The third important thing where AI is actually helping is in predictability. That is very essential for an enterprise, because if the predictability is not there, if the uncertainty is there, it impacts revenue loss, it impacts leakage in the cost. So predictability of an enterprise is very important, and that's where the risk mitigation, risk assessment, early signs of risk comes into picture, which is one of the very strong component where AI is currently working. Risk detection in transactions, in customer churn, in machine failure, in process failure, compliance with the process defined, compliance with the customer definition defined processes. These are very crucial areas where AI is generating value. Just the fact that you have a compliance, because if you don't have it, you lose business. You have a serious threat, monetary threat, which may come at some point in time, but it is not there right now. But it's very important for you to not have it, much like an insurance. So AI is acting like an insurance in the risk side. AI is acting as an efficiency builder in the cost side. It is trying to replace human job, or it is trying to give enterprise ability to scale without adding more humans in the system. It is trying to reduce the number of errors that enterprise makes in a process, etc., which is where the efficiency comes in. And it is trying to add more customers, add more business, do a better marketing in the ROI side or revenue side of an enterprise.
Sure. So, I mean, from what you are telling me, it looks like they are focusing on both risk as well as the performance of the enterprise, and they are using, trying to make sure that compliance and all those needs are met. So, which is a good start. But I think, if you look at the risk profile of any enterprise, if you look at it, only 25% is made of, compliance risk, legal risk, operational risk, financial risk, those kind of risks, which enterprises currently are focused on. If we look at the biggest portion of the risk profile, that is strategic security risk, which is almost 75%. There are the current decision makers of enterprises, they're not focused on that, nor do I see any models or any initiatives that are trying to focus on that. Because if we look at the current pattern, I mean, the existing and emerging technologies and the rapid transformation and the tsunami of technologies that are emerging, that provides a big necessity that we need to understand wherever strategic security risks are emerging. And it's not only that the enterprises are not just focused on it. I see nobody is focusing on that. Nobody is trying to understand what strategic security risks are coming our way, that we need to prepare for, because the models that we are using, or the products that we have, or the services that we have, everything will become obsolete, because in this day and time, with the technology transformation happening, and the democratization of the information, the ideas and innovations are emerging from anywhere in the world. And before your the current products that you have, the current services that you have, the current structure of the companies that you have will be obsolete, because by the time you come to recognize that there is a competitor emerging, it would be already too late. So anybody focusing on developing those kind of strategic security tools, because I find it very challenging to even not only to address these kind of challenges, because other than risk group, nobody is focusing on that. I tried, even the whole idea of focusing on strategic security risk it's like, people are considering, oh, that's not necessary, we don't need to focus on that. Do you see any initiative emerging in that area?
So not something which fits 100% into the shoes, but and the reason is that strategy is something which is very complex for current generation AI to understand. AI does not get a clue on what a strategy means. It's very abstract for machines to understand. It comes very naturally to human beings. In fact, strategy is something which does not even come naturally to a lot of human beings. Let me correct myself. So it is a far-fetched goal right now for a machine to start understanding what is a strategy. However, thinkers have started focusing on areas which can augment their strategy with AI. For example, you can create a system today which can keep you aware about what's happening in the world, which aligns or not aligns with your strategy. So you can actually take up the data from external sources and create it in form of a signals which could be analyzed automatically by the machines and give you a view into what alignment with your strategic focus. And that's one thing which can be done today. You can also build AI to identify compliance of your strategy execution, which is your tactical initiatives, your goals. How far are they compliant with what you perceived? So, what did you anticipate? What you wanted to do versus what is really happening, or in fact, what may really happen tomorrow using some sophisticated forecasting models, right? So you can you come or AI may not be able to understand what strategy means, but AI is capable of identifying risk in your strategy execution and identifying risk in your strategical alignment or thinking from global signals. It can give you the anomalies happening in the global signal which do not align with your strategy, right? And where a machine thinks, for machine a strategy is nothing but a, a long form text or based system based rules, or some kind of a document that you write give to the machine, which machine thinks is defines your strategy. So if you're able to articulate your strategy in a document, give it to the machine can then start finding signals which contradicts your documents, which contradicts your strategic document. And also machine can extract your goals and tactical plans, put them to a strategic alignment, and start monitoring whether they are in line with that, or whether the current actions are securing your future to be in line with your strategic plan. And that's doable today. But of course, in a couple of years, maybe 5 years, machine may start to understand the abstract notion called strategy, and can should be able to manage a strategy overall and maybe able to suggest your strategy, right? But not today.
But competitive intelligence, AI should be able to gather all those variables, or, like you said, signals. Because if you are, let's say, organization or enterprise has an e-commerce platform. If there are other emerging e-commerce platform, even if they are, in the idea phase, that intelligence, the AI, if you build a model, it can crawl, and that intelligence should be not that difficult to gather, should it?
It's not right. So like I said,
I
tactical,
agree with that.
you can build tactical AI applications which give you one perspective on your strategy, but you don't have a AI application which understands your overall strategy, right? So you can create these tactical tools which aid you, which complement you in securing your strategy. But then there's not one system which does that, right? You have to create these multiple applications. One can track competition, one can track pricing, one can track macroeconomic indicators, etc. And the biggest challenge here is, right, for an enterprise to articulate a strategy in a more logical format for machines to consume, right? Today, a strategy is very abstract. Most of the organization strategy is abstract. For example, for us, right, one of the strategies that we have for our organization is to go into OEM partnerships, right? And we want to go more and more and give our AI platform to the ISVs and have them embed our AI platform into their products and make their product AI first product. Right? That's our strategy, right? Now, for an AI to understand this definition, this very simple one paragraph strategy is not possible at this stage. AI needs much more articulation. AI need a more tactical plan to understand what my strategy is, right? So, for example, I can tell AI that my goal is to sign up 100 partners, and AI can help me keep track of that goal as I progress. I can tell AI that this document defines who my partners should be, and AI can then go and scout for these partners and find me the potential partners from the globe, from available data, right? AI can also track which of my partners are working with H2O, or our competition, right? Data robot or H2O, right? AI can also tell me that how is are they also focusing on the same line. So it can track signals from H2O or data robot and try to find whether they are also moving on the same strategy line, that we there's a company which is very relevant to us as a partner, and one of our competition has signed that partnership. So AI can get those signals. So AI can work in these small minions that you can create out of it, and these minions, each of that minion can do one job for you, but you have to put it all together and bring it back on a high level of your strategy today.
Yes, so it seems, but it's possible. I mean, we have to take bits and pieces of intelligence in all different formats, but we should have some sort of collective intelligence platform built so that we can compete effectively with other nations and with other emerging securities that are coming away. And the second thing is all these algorithms that we are developing. Uh, all algorithms are transparent, right? I mean, there is no way for us to see what is in the algorithm unless there is an absolutely intelligent person who looks into each piece of code that is written. And also if we are going forward and whatever systems we develop, they become autonomous, then at that point humans will lose control over what is written in that, as we will see in a lot of initiatives that are coming our way, and we will have no idea what how the code was modified by the algorithm, and so the challenge is, if this is from the security risk perspective, that once the at this point also, even the algorithms that are not autonomous, that are just human written, we have no idea what code was written, and what is the purpose of that algorithm and what it's supposed to do. So all these algorithms that are developed all across nations, we have no idea what kind of security risks are emerging from that, because there is no way for us to know what the command for those algorithms are, and what they are supposed to do. So how do we prevent the security risk emerging from all these different machine learning models that are emerging, deep learning models that are emerging? Is there any way to know what all these models are trying to do?
Yes, very interesting, Jayashree. I'm really enjoying the conversation today, right? So there is a risk, and um, let me make a statement here. Humans will lose the battle, okay, but not easily. We have millions of years of survival behind us, so I'm pretty sure we're going to give a tough fight, and maybe we will win as well, right? I can't say today that whether we'll win or not, but definitely machines are getting to become much more superior. Their ability to think, their ability to manipulate is going to be more superior. So it's going to be a tough fight. And uh, today, if I have to place a bet, I will place that eventually we lose this battle, but not today. Maybe another 100 or few 100 years, right? Now, what's happening today? Today, there is a lot of effort going on in understanding the mathematics behind AI. Okay, let me assure you that today what AI does is completely known to us as humans. Okay, there is nothing that we don't know today. Okay, machines have not started writing their own code. We are writing the machine code, and we know exactly what's happening inside the machine. Now, that may not be a commonly available knowledge. It may be limited to PhDs or mathematicians or experts who have built those algorithms. but there's a widespread effort going on called explainable AI, transparent AI, glass box AI, or whatever you may call it, right? Uh, which is bringing that knowledge as much as possible in hands of actual users, right? So business users, right? So if a functional head is taking a bet on AI, the functional head can today know what exactly that AI is doing, right? And it's transparent. Not only it's transparent, it is also auditable, right? You can ask a question back at AI. You can ask AI to prove that whether what it is saying is right or not. Why does AI think it is right? And AI is answerable. It can answer. There are new age systems like the one we have in our platform, which can actually give you the whole audit trail of from the AI perspective that this was the data used, this was the source of this data, this was the day on which it was trained, these many records were used, this is how the model evolved, this is how our current knowledge is, this is the impact of if you take away this data from my learning, this is the impact if you change this data, etc. All of that is auditable today. And I'm pretty confident as AI evolve, we will make sure that we always have an edge over understanding what's going inside the machine. And that is going to be very crucial for us to win the battle on a long run.
Yes, but the challenge now is, those were the days when any weapons of mass destruction, if they were being developed, then you just have to follow the money trail and you will know who is buying certain material in large quantities and all that kind of, different variables. Now, pretty much everyone, in the world has a computer or will have a computer in the coming days. And it's not going to require, you know, very different resources to develop any kind of algorithm that can go ahead and damage any systems, or can release I mean, we already see the malwares and all that are developed in hundreds of thousands of number, and we will see a lot of weapons, cyber weapons are being developed, and they are also becoming integrated with AI, they're becoming intelligent. So we are seeing, slowly development of this AI-driven weapons of mass destruction that are emerging from cyberspace that will not only uh, destroy some critical infrastructure, but also will target enterprises in the coming years to, with a single goal to destroy those enterprises, data, or, their product services, or, expose them and, make them lose their credibility, or any kind of, challenge. So there are many, many risks that are emerging because there is no way to know how many algorithms are being developed, who is developing that, and for what. So at risk, we are proposing that we should develop AI, algorithm naming and identification system. Right now, there is no. Yes, if some organization is developing certain algorithms, you can, create a platform, or need for auditing that, and that is possible. But unless we know how many algorithms are being developed and who is developing, and there is no way to go ahead and audit them. So we cannot put together a structure to audit them, just like that right now. So we do need to come up with an effective model of algorithm naming and identification system so that we can prevent the strategic security risk coming our way. Not only that would impact enterprises, but would impact the nations and the future of humanity. So I think that is going to be inevitable in the coming years. Right now there is, we just have put out our thought leadership that this is what we will need, or we do need, because otherwise we will not be able to control the explosion of algorithms emerging, and will have, it's not even about becoming autonomous at this point. It is about for what they are developed and what risks are coming our way. But that is going to be, we'll have to wait and see how that emerges. But from your assessment, where do you see more efforts need to be, especially from enterprise transformation perspective, or the future of enterprise, as far as the AI integration goes?
Yeah, so I would recommend enterprises to start taking AI seriously, both in terms of value addition that they can do, and also in terms of a threat. And it's very important, right? So one of the crucial aspect that we are pursuing is cyber security, or security of enterprise systems from AI driven attacks. Imagine today we have hackers, and these are human hackers who are trying to hack into a machine, and they try to find vulnerabilities. They try to attempt one attempt. If it cracks, they enter the machine. They try to do few things, etc. But they are humans. Very soon, or maybe today, there may be AI attackers which will identify vulnerability using AI, and because it's AI, it's machine, it is able to find not one but many vulnerabilities at the same go. It's very fast. It can do millions of checks every second, right? So it can find not one but many vulnerabilities. It can do not single attack but multi-front attack at the same time, right? It can be attacking your system not from one front but many fronts. And if you have humans to respond to that, you're going to lose.
Yes.
So enterprise need to start putting together AI army, which are gatekeepers, which are able to anticipate that they are being attacked by an AI bots.
Yes.
That they are able to understand the strategy of AI bots, which all fronts have they attacked, what are they attacking, what vulnerability are they exploiting, what is the roadmap. So predicting what their future action is going to be and understanding what they're going to do, that's the second thing they need to do. So they need to have AI bot which can anticipate they can get attacked, they are being attacked, and what the simulated forward plan is going to be. And then it can formulate a counter strategy of either neutralizing that attack or stopping it, or engaging the attackers, AI bots, and misleading them into something else so that they eventually don't get any result, and they die out the focus. They shift their focus from this enterprise to some other enterprise, right? So either they can, because if you kill the attack, it may come again, or it may come somewhere else. But you may, if you engage the attackers and mislead them and make them feel that they are being successful, but they're actually not being successful, that's a war strategy that we generally will recommend for enterprise to get into, and then engage these attackers, mislead them, keep them engaged, and divert them and safeguard their risk, right? So and this is going to be very interesting arena in time to come. I think we are very early in a cyber security understanding. There are some exceptionally good startups like Lucidius, which have started doing the first part of the problem, first piece of the puzzle, and I'm pretty sure they'll go forward. But it's a very interesting space, and I'm pretty sure all the enterprise leaders or CIOs who are currently well placed and understand AI, cyber security, information security is their top priority.
Yes, I mean that is a very complex challenge, and one of our risk group contributor, he just published on a risk group a very interesting proposition that let's develop a cyber militia, because no longer is security a government problem, or even they are not even capable of managing the cyber security risk for each and every individual or each and every entity across all the different components of a nation. It's a very complex challenge. So this is something that our current infrastructure or current systems are not going to be able to help or secure each and every computer, each and every individual. So he has written a very interesting piece that we should develop cyber militia, and communities should emerge that can protect the communities. And just the same way enterprises will have to come up with some very unique models. And there are a lot of security tools emerging that would be able to protect the data security and many different variables or the vulnerabilities that we have. But that will be topic of another discussion. So having said that, what would you like to tell our global viewers and listeners, especially about your new initiatives that you're working on?
Yeah, so we are working on what you referred to earlier, the General Narrow Intelligence Platform, right? Eugene, we call it. And our endeavor is how fast can an enterprise go to AI adoption, right? We typically take the enterprise to AI adoption in 2 to 4 weeks. How effective their results can be. So we focus on robustness, we focus on causality, we focus on true intelligence, for which we deliver to the enterprise. And we also ensure that enterprise are future proof, which is they don't have to worry about new algorithms. So we constantly keep adding newer algorithms into our stack, right? So, in a nutshell, we are trying to make it way easier for enterprise to go into an AI initiative. It's low cost, it is more effective, it is less time consuming. They can run multiple experiments at the same time, and we are also trying to empower ecosystem. We are very okay to work with existing vendors of an enterprise and embed RAI into them. We don't want to displace the industry. We don't want to uproot companies and give them a new AI focused HR system or AI focused payroll system or invoicing engine, etc. We would like to embed into and empower ISV ecosystem, existing software vendors, so that they can go AI first very fast and they can reinforce the relationship and acquire a more better market share and not feel threatened by this AI first in softwares that are coming to the market, right? That's really our focus right now, and we are sector agnostic. So we're working in all the sectors. We are working in energy, oil and gas, retail, e-commerce, banking, financial services, etc. So anybody can actually use us. Any function can use us. Customer support, enterprise IT, finance, etc. So and we are also focusing on strengthening startups or building startups and investing in them if required to make sure that they are able to pick up a problem and solve it for enterprise using our general narrow intelligence platform, right? So that's what our focus is, and in next couple of years we hope to become a fairly large company where large portion of world softwares will be leveraging our platform, Eugene.
Great, wonderful. That is, really exciting. So thank you so much, Ankur, for participating in Risk Roundup today. We appreciate your thoughtful insight on the future of enterprise AI, and I'm sure our global viewers and listeners will benefit tremendously from the information you shared today. So even if a single decision maker can understand the future of enterprise AI after listening to this discussion, this Risk Roundup dialogue has been of service, and we thank you for that.
Thanks, Jayashree, for inviting me. It was a very good discussion. You asked me a lot of good questions, and I'm very happy to answer. Right?
Well, thank you so much, Ankur. So, Risk Roundup, a global initiative launched by Risk Group, is a security risk reporting for risk emerging from existing and emerging technologies, technology convergence, and transformation happening across cyberspace, aquaspace, geospace, and space. We at Risk Group believe that risk management, security, and peace, they walk together hand in hand. Though security is related to the management of threats and peace to the management of conflict, risk management is related to management of security vulnerabilities as well as management of conflict. It is not possible to conceive any one of the three without the existence of the other two. All three concepts feed into each other. We believe that the security we build for ourselves is precarious and uncertain until it is secure for everyone across nations. Tradition becomes our security. So, if we build a culture of managing risk effectively, it will lead us to security, and security will lead us to peace. Let's manage the existing and emerging risks together. For more information on the Risk Roundups, to watch the Risk Roundup video, and to listen to the Risk Roundup audio podcast, please go to riskgroupllc.com and do not forget to subscribe and share. Until next time, I'm Jayashree, host of Risk Roundup, signing off. See you next time. Thank you.